Hey YouTube, how's it going? Sorry I haven't spoken to you in such a long time. I think in my last video I was interviewing for a job. Bloody Mary. I was interviewing for a job and I got the job, which was great because it was a bit more money, but it's full-time, so I never got any time to sit around and make YouTube videos. I have no idea who any of you are anymore, so I'm just going to pretend that I'm talking to you and we like each other, that we're friends. I'm going to pretend like I can tell you about my life without needing to feel defensive, and then deal with you in the comments section afterwards. So anyone that follows me on Twitter will be aware that I've spent basically the entire day today, which is September the 11th, discussing the discrepancy that we find in our culture between the death of an American or a Brit or even a Scandinavian or a French person and the death of an African person. You know, we're still mourning 9/11 like it's the biggest tragedy of the 21st century, and yet, just to put that into perspective, the same number of people that died in 9/11, that number of children will die in Africa today of malaria, and that's just of malaria. If we're talking about deaths by preventable diseases, and this is according to the World Health Organization, which seems to me to be a reliable source, we're looking at 7 times the death toll of 9/11 every single day in Africa from preventable diseases. So, but even at the time, because there were so many Iraqi civilians dying in 2001, and continued to die after 2000, and stepped up in dying after 2001, like the death toll just continued to increase. That I found it difficult even at the time to get on board with the Western. Like, isn't this the worst thing that could have possibly happened, because now 3,000 American civilians are dead? And aren't these people terrorists? So I just wanted to put that into perspective. I think, actually, no politicians turned out to this year's 9/11 commemorations, so possibly America is kind of culturally moving on from this, but I would just like to put that in perspective, Most of the people that died in 9/11 had managed to make it to adult age and had at least experienced some life. And we're talking about infant mortality rates, 7,000 children per day of malaria. I don't view that as... wait, how many children per day of malaria? Sorry, 3,000 children per day of malaria. 21,000 worldwide. I don't view that as less tragic. In fact, I was saying on Twitter that every single day we should call it, 10-9, 11-9, 12-9. Oh, wait, I can't do the American date system. I've really got... Why the fuck would you put the day after the month? There's no logic to that. Obviously, days are smaller than months, and months are smaller than years, so you're reading left to right, you're going in size order. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, I could understand if you put the year first, then the month, then the date. Whatever, fuck it. So, yeah, I don't really want to make a ranting video. I just wanted to mention that because I need to get that off my chest, that, 21,000 people every day die of preventable diseases, so 9/11, in the grand scheme of things, a blip on the human mortality rates for the last 2 decades, so... Don't get me wrong, though, don't think that I'm a really cynical bastard, like I don't care about the people that died. That's not true. I sat and watched one of these commemoration kind of documentaries a couple of days ago about the firefighters, 300 and something firefighters that died in 9/11. And I sat and just wept watching this documentary, so don't think that I'm cruel and heartless, but also I do have a sense of perspective, and I don't give a fuck what colour the person is. I don't give a fuck what country they come from. I mourn 1 million dead Iraqis like I mourn 3,000 dead American civilians, like I mourn the death of my best friend's brother in Afghanistan. These are all equally tragic deaths. And in the recent kind of climate of massive spending, I'm talking here about hosting the Olympics, but also massive spending bailing out bankers, for example, or fighting a war in Afghanistan, or America's defence budget being 50% of that of the world, and we're talking about every single day 3,000 children die of malaria, of a completely treatable disease, and I find that disgusting. What I find even more repellent is when you bring this up, people will say, some people will argue, well, we are kind of an overpopulated world. I mean, what will we do if 3,000 children stop dying every day of malaria, if 21,000 people stop dying of preventable diseases every day in the third world? What will we do with all those people? And there aren't enough resources to go around. Well, I see that's the issue, surely, isn't it? Like, once you've got all these once you're overpopulating the earth, that is an issue that we need to deal with. You don't deal with that by just fucking off 3,000 African children every day into the dirt, you know, burying 3,000 children every day so that you don't need to think of a way to deal with overpopulation. That's not a way to deal with overpopulation, okay? Sacrificing the third world to starvation, poverty, and preventable diseases is not an appropriate, moral, forward-thinking, culturally evolved way to deal with overpopulation, okay? And I find it abhorrent that anyone can think about a child dying like that. Like, well, it's probably for the best. What else? In other news, what else have I got to report? Started a job 6 weeks ago, and I got offered a job interview yesterday. I applied thinking I'd never get an interview, but I have got an interview for the next tier, like paid tier up at Works already, 6 weeks in. So I'm wondering if maybe I should go for that and try and get it, although it will fuck them off to leave the job. Nothing else to report, really. I went camping recently with my mum and my sister and a whole load of family friends, and then all of their friends, and we ended up being about 40 people, and that was really good fun. Had a really good time, and got to jam out on the guitar. Oh my god, some of these 11-year-olds, Jesus, it makes you sick. Like, these 11-year-old boys were so much better than me at guitar, it was making me feel ill. Like, the guy was playing perfect solos. Every time he played a little lick on the guitar, everyone stopped talking and turned around like, no, that just come out of that 11-year-old. Jesus, doesn't it make you sick when people are so much younger than you and so much better at things than you? But they were kind enough to play the 2 Hendrix songs that I can play bass lines to, so I got to play some bass for them, and that was fun. Kind of started hanging around with my ex again, after quite a lot of grovelling on his part. And I may possibly rekindle some kind of romantic connection there. It does seem to be going that way now. I tell you what, though, if he dumps me for the 3rd time, I'm going to fucking kick his ass. I'm not even going to be crying and feeling sad and crying on YouTube this time round. I'm just going to fucking kick his ass. He's promising me, like, no, I've really, like... He might have had a big turnaround, eh? It might well have been that in my absence he realised what he had lost. It is conceivable it had been 4 months, and he did spend at least a couple of those months trying to get over the fact that I'd had sex with his friends, so... probably a long story, better saved for one-on-one conversations. I really like my new job. I'm kind of horrified when I say that out loud. There's this lesbian woman at work, and she just can't stop telling everyone she's a lesbian. I'm bisexual myself, and I'm not above, I mean, I'm not adverse to dropping into a conversation. Yeah, she's quite hot, I don't care if people know that I'm bisexual, but everything this woman says is like, me and my girlfriend were doing this, or me and my girlfriend, we just really like to snuggle. Did I mention I'm a lesbian? So like, oh bless, like, just let it go. You don't need to... Maybe you do, actually maybe you do, especially if you talk about like 1 in 10 people being gay. And you're talking about the kind of rampant homophobia, less these days, but still the rampant homophobia that we have going on in society. Maybe we do all need to be like, oh, and by the way, I'm bisexual. Oh, and by the way, I'm a black man that went to university. You know, oh, by the way, I'm a Muslim woman that makes her own decisions, or whatever it is, whatever your particular stereotype may be. Really enjoyed the Olympics. Yeah, that was good. Olympics was great. Went and saw a few events, went and saw some gymnastics, I went to see some Paralympics. It was really good, happy, fun times. Paralympics especially came away with a really good feeling. That everyone in Britain, or British culture, is quite supportive of people with disabilities, and that things are kind of turning around for, I want to say the disabled community, for people who are less than able-bodied in terms of respect that they can hope to receive physically, and what we might understand them to be able to do physically, although largely it just completely flopped in ratings. I've been watching a lot of documentaries. What would I recommend? Sweetgrass, that's about some shepherds in the Montana Beartooth Mountain. I want to say Beartooth Mountains, is that right? Watched Vernon, Florida, which is another kind of small town, little hick documentary, which was really fun. An American movie about like this guy that's dream has always been to produce this movie, which is great. hundreds of documentaries I've been watching recently. I can feel my mind just expanding with every documentary. But often I don't watch documentaries to kind of learn anything new about the world, but just so much because it's nice to seep yourself in humans sometimes, and in humans that are nothing like people that you're around. I've been doing quite a lot of Southern American documentaries, and it's really, like, you know, Southern American culture is quite foreign to me, and it really cracks me up. Like, I love the way you get these old grass-chewing hicks that kind of tell these, like, really slow, meandering stories with no point. They actually remind me a bit of my dad. My dad tells stories like someone from the American South. These slow stories that British people are just like, get to the fucking point. I can't bear to wait any longer while you build the scene. But, you know, there's nothing fucking better to do in Vernon, Florida than listen to your mate tell the same story 5 times. I had a falling out with my mum. That was pretty hurtful. We went away camping and I felt like we weren't really getting on, so when we got back I kind of started talking to her about why, you know, about whether or not she could stop maybe criticising me constantly, because my self-esteem's not very good, and whether or not I could have just a bit of a break from her super, like, naturally critical personality. Isn't that kind of a... Maybe you have to prove you're really fucking critical before you have kids. I told her it felt like she didn't really want to spend time with me, and eventually got it out of her that she finds me quite dull when I'm stoned, and that she doesn't think I do enough around the house, and blah blah blah. So I just kind of detached myself a bit from my mum, and now I'm looking to move out as soon as possible, and it's, in a way, it's quite liberating, because whenever I've thought about moving away and just living in another country, not just going and living there for 6 months, but like moving permanently to another country, I've always felt sad to think that I couldn't be around my mum and have a relationship with my mum if I did that, and that she's getting older and she might not be around forever, and that maybe I should enjoy it now. But she kind of finds me dull, you know. I don't really want to hang around with someone that thinks that I'm dull. I'm sorry if you're finding me dull. Sweet irony if you're all sitting there thinking, yeah, you are dull. I am pretty dull when I'm stoned, but I didn't need to hear it like that, and I'm feeling just a bit detached from my mum now. Looking to move back to Brighton in the short term, where my ex-boyfriend is, and where, you know, it's just more fun to go to work, and eventually moving out to America. I've got a trip planned, and it's either going to be in like a camper van or on a motorbike with a tent and a camping stove. But I want to go either. I haven't decided yet if I want to go from Alaska to Mexico, which is approximately 5,000 miles, or if I want to actually circumnavigate the entire states on the coasts. Which would be more like 10,000 plus miles, something like 14,000 miles on roads to drive around America. But I thought, yeah, save up a lot of money and just go and do like the kind of great American road trip. Could come and see all my YouTube friends and all my Twitter friends in real life, and listen to, you know, the Easy Rider soundtrack as I'm going down the California coastal paths. And yeah, it'll be really cool. I'm feeling quite claustrophobic in London. The commute's very depressing. The people are very unfriendly, and I haven't left the country in 3 years or something. I'm definitely getting cabin fever, and I'm ready to get the fuck on the road. Speaking of on the road, I've been reading Jack Kerouac on the road. I read it quite regularly anyway. I love the book, but been rereading it in preparation for the Hollywood film, which I think comes out in November or December of 2012. They're bound to murder that, aren't they? Who was it? Was it Scarlett Johansson? It's like one of those blonde kind of actresses. Can't remember her name. Is in it, and that made me think, fuck, like that can't be good. The casting already looks worrying. I really hate to see them murder on the road. So yeah, it's nice to see you again, YouTube, and if it's nice to see me again, let me know, and we can do with encouragement, because what happens when you make a YouTube video and then leave it sitting there is all of the people that subscribe to you and all of your YouTube friends and everyone you link it to on Twitter and Facebook or whatever, they all come along and they all leave really supportive, nice comments. But if you don't make a YouTube video for a month, the nice comments tail off after maybe the first 4 or 5 days when your actual subscribers have watched it and commented on it. And then inevitably an MRA comes along and links it on an MRA website, and then you just get like a deluge of utter hatred. So it's a real shame, because every feminist video that I've made is sitting in a pile of hate, But right at the bottom of the comment sections of all of them, where someone that wasn't that sure about feminism or how they felt about it would never go and find the comments, there's whole, all of us having really good debates and discussions on feminism and speaking about feminism in a very positive, pro-feminist way. But all you'll ever see when you go to those videos is people hating on them. And I know for a fact that a couple of my videos have been linked to an MRA website, so I've removed them now because I just don't need every day to come on and get more shit from someone who was never interested in what my point of view was or how good my argument was in the first place. Because they're there to hate on women, unfortunately. Which is ridiculous, as I've said a million times on YouTube, because the men's rights activist movement does have some actual axes to grind, such as men's treatment in the custody courts, and it's such a shame to have men's rights, specifically male rights, like, represented by a load of fucking misogynist douches. It gives them all a bad name. And I don't think Fathers for Justice and groups like that are necessarily sexist in any way or misogynist, and to blanket accuse everyone on the men's rights movement of being sexist is no different than calling every feminist a man-hater, and I know how annoying that is, so yeah, anyway, I know for a fact a lot of my videos have been linked on MRA websites, so I've started removing them, because whilst it's nice to have 7,000 views on a video, I don't need that much shit every day, and you just can't ever find the time to properly debate with these people. Wow, I'm rambling. Okay, thanks YouTube. I'm gonna finish my mini and my Bloody Mary. It's getting cold here in September now, mid-September, getting chilly. And I will see you soon. I will see you sooner than a month. Thank you for listening and coming back and saying hello. Peace out.